And it is J-Dog for the second time for the people who have joined us live on the Facebook page for our Round 11 review of the greatest game in the world. The voice that you're listening to is of your host, Christopher Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Killer Football Club. And as always, I am joined by the co-host with the most, a man who benches his own body weight twice over, Jamie the J-Dog Wallis. Great man. It's good to finally have you on board. We had some technical issues a little bit earlier on, but we've finally been able to become one Spice Girls style, and we're here to have a massive chat about a massive weekend of footy.
Peps, do not use the royal we when discussing tech issues tonight.
Oh, I'll blame you. I will blame you. Look, there was some technical issues. We don't know what was going on. Jamie was talking. Nothing was coming out. Pretty much most weeks like on the podcast, but this was due to a technical issue. We're all sorted out, and so we're just restarting, and we're going to have a cracker of an episode. So much to get through. All the usual suspects are here around the grounds. We've got the ladder. We've got the listener question by now, and it was the single biggest listener question. We could have a dedicated episode to the teams that people hate. We'll have a bit of contract news. We'll get through the Rising Star. You name it, we've got it. But most importantly, we've got the greatest fan base you could ever ask for. We love each and every single one of our Lace Outlaws. For the first time listening to us, hey, join us every single week. No fluff, no bullshit on this podcast, none of the other crappy stuff that you hear on the others. We get down and dirty because that's how we want our footy and we want to lace out. More importantly, if you haven't left us a review on iTunes or Spotify, please do so, because more people need to hear about this and hear about a real AFL podcast, not biased towards any single club. But more importantly, we always have a bit of a chat about what we got up to on the weekend. I'm going to start with the J-Dog because he's got a smile on his face. Port Adelaide had another cracking win on the weekend.
Yes.
But not according to the messages that I was getting. Were you entirely happy with it?
Look, I was emotional. I was tired. All those things, Peps. But no, overall, it was a win. Let's not call it anything greater than what it was. It was a win, Peps. But my weekend was fantastic. Cracking weather. Beautiful sunshine. And yeah, Sunday I was knackered. I mean,
now,
we had an Australian win the Giro d'Italia. Like, what? That's a cracking week.
There's so much going on. But Charlie Keegan, I have to point something out. I've just mentioned that we are not biased to the D's or the power on the podcast, and we love each and every single one of you. That's the teams that we can relate to, and I just want to relate that because you know what? We're going to be talking a lot about Essendon tonight, so you won't want to miss a thing. Sorry, buddy, go for it.
No, you're right.
To jump in. Because when I hear that we're biased, we're not biased. We don't discriminate against anybody. We'll tell you if our teams are shit, and we'll tell you if your team's shit. And
yes. So that was my weekend, Pep. So yeah, lots of hockey. Had to double up this week from Div 1 and Div 2, and lots of riding. Finally cracked the 400-kilometre mark in a week for riding because that was something I was aiming for a while. And, yeah, more shed sorting, Peps. What about you? What was your weekend like? What did you do? A bit of local footy or
no
daddy-daughter donuts?
Nah, there was no daddy-daughter donut day, but it was kids' birthdays.
Beautiful.
I had to do a bit of that. It was my nephew. He's a superstar. So to Dante Asante, my superstar nephew, it was a cracking day. And then I got to go watch the D's against Fremantle, and yeah, I was disappointed for what Melbourne served up for a number of reasons, but I will not put that past for the effort that Fremantle showed. They were blistering. If they can do that at the back end of the season, watch out. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah,
I'm not going to make excuses at all.
Yes, I was enjoying a pot and Palmer and really getting stuck into the footy, Peps, on Saturday night. And I thought, here we go. Melbourne have got this absolute canter. And then what's the joy? It wasn't joy. I was disappointed, but I was happy, but I was disappointed. You guys just decided to just not kick a goal in the last half of football. Kick one goal. I looked down. You were 20 points up. I looked up again from my next bite of my Palmer, and you were down by 10. I was like, what has happened here? Anyway, let's move on, Peps.
Look, all I'll say is this, and we won't talk about the Melbourne Fremantle game, but all I'll say is that they got us at a good time. You have your number one backman go out. on your midfielders is crook. You got quite a number of injuries. Not saying that's the excuse. You can only play what you get. But, geez, they were fantastic. They were brutal. That third quarter, I haven't seen a club do that against us, well, at least for the last 17 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They were sensational. So give them a lot of credit. But there was just a lot of cracking footy over the weekend, J-Dog.
There was.
If you have a look at the games, and we'll get into them a little bit later on. It started on the Friday night and it started with the first game, finished with the last game, and everything in the middle was just corker. We're going to have a chat about a little bit each of the games as well too. So I want to start with the ladder, if that's okay, J-Dog.
Sure, mate. Sure. We can start there.
Let's get into that because I want to whip through this because I said a number of weeks ago that the final 8 was locked in. And I'll put my hand up and say I think I'm wrong about it because based on what we saw on the weekend, teams that should be in there aren't, and teams that aren't are going to be making a case. So the D's are still sitting on top after their loss, but they are still a game clear. Brisbane Lions are then a game clear in second. I still think deep down that will be your top 2 for the end of the season. Fremantle, St Kilda and Carlton all on 32 points. Now, if you said at the start of the year that would be 3, 4 and 5 on the ladder, I would have said write your own ticket. But they have been playing cracking footy and they backed it up over the weekend. Geelong and Sydney on 28. Now, this is where the fun starts to begin. We've got the Western Bulldogs, Richmond and Collingwood on 24 points. We've then got Port Adelaide, Gold Coast, who have been awesome over their last month. They usually fall off by now, but they just look good.
Yeah.
Sitting on 20 points. Hawthorn on 16, and you can forget about the rest. GWS and Adelaide on 12. Essendon, we're going to have a chat about them because something is not right down there in Windy Hill Town, and North and West Coast start planning for 2022. Thoughts, feelings, J-Dog? Who do you see climbing in and who do you see falling out?
I think one of our listeners says it best when they said everything, the last 6 of that ladder, I don't know. Yeah, I still think there's some movement there, but
I can't see anybody besides Gold Coast up. So there's 4 teams that can make it. I'm still a bit sceptical. I didn't think I'd say this a couple of weeks ago. I'm still a little bit sceptical after what I saw on the weekend with Sydney. I was sceptical about Geelong, but they're just doing what they have to, and they've got a great run coming home, and they've also got a great run against lower-end teams as well too. Western Bulldogs, they've got to get Josh Bruce back as well, so that's going to add to their firepower.
Yeah. I'm holding my reservations, Peps, until that round 17, I reckon. That'll tell us the proper story.
Okay. St Kilda, I still think are susceptible. I don't know why, but there's just something about them. But, hey, you know what? They're 2 games in the 8 at the moment. Can't ask for much more than that. And if I was a St Kilda supporter, and that's where I was at this particular moment in time, I would have a smile on my face as well too. So it's a crack. Look, it is awesome. It's going to be a fantastic back half of the season. Can I just raise one thing? And I know we haven't got into the spin magnets just yet, Jadal.
Yeah.
Can we just have one weekend off of footy? Just no footy for one weekend. Everybody has the bye, and then we start again.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
This bullshit 6 games, or whatever it is. It's a farce. It just throws
only thing is, we do it before we start the finals, and it's a pretty shit week. It just kills the season a little bit.
We don't need it before the finals. It should be before the finals. But if you're going to have a bye, make it fair for everybody.
Yeah,
that's the way that I see it. It should be fair for everybody, not just, some teams have to play another 2 games before they get a break, and some get it now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just scrap it, have a week off, be done with it, and then have something on in the middle of the week. Have an Indigenous All-Stars game or have something. A week off isn't going to kill us, let's be honest. All right. Let's funk this up a bit. Hey, let's go some spins and magnets, big fella. And you know what? I want to start off on a high, so I'm going to start with a bit of this.
3 votes.
It's 3 votes time, my friend. All right, J-Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some stuff I was so excited for it. Okay, Chad Warner on Friday night. What are you doing, buddy? If you're going to kick the ball, kick it 4 levels deep. 4 levels deep. Make sure that, no one can find that ball ever again, okay? I was so pumped to see a bloke just kick it and then just go, oh, shit, what have I done? Did you see the look at his face as soon as he kicked it? Like, have I just given away a 50? By the way, it wasn't a 50. If anybody's thinking it was a 50, it wasn't a 50, in my humble opinion. But if we go over to the J-Dog, I'm tipping he's going to go, it was. J-Dog, what do you think?
No, it definitely wasn't.
It wasn't a 50?
It's the crowd was pumping, everything was going on. You probably couldn't hear the whistle. It happens.
Well, like they said, the umpire that paid it was 70 metres away, and they even got it to the point. I was listening the other night. They got it down to the point that there's 24 frames in a second on high def, and the guy that does the Sunday Footy show, editing, etc., worked it out. There was like 8 frames from when the siren went to when from the whistle went to the siren.
Yeah,
that was like you wouldn't have heard it. So I think common sense was made, and you know what? The game's over. The final siren goes, it's over, it's finished. I wouldn't worry about it at all. So I wasn't too phased with that at all, J-Dog.
No,
at all. Rightio. Freo, Collingwood and Swans. Did they shake up the final 8? Freo, I've already mentioned them in a very, very high level, but geez, they are exciting. And they've got a guy, Michael Fredericks. Wah, wee wah. He's got wheels. He's two-way running. He's silky forward of centre. There was one where he had the deft touch sort of pat back to Schultze I think it might have been for Schultze's second for the day. And then he gets the ball outside of 50. He runs in, goes to take the kick, and then sells a bit of. He sold the candy on Trent Rivers and went, whoosh-ka, and slotted it through, and at that stage we said it's all over. They were just way too good for us. Collingwood, what a game. How hard was Cox? How hard was he, J-Dog? He was throbbing.
Best game in 5 years.
It was his best game since he coxed Richmond in that prelim, bar none. He was sensational. And the Swans, what a game against Richmond on the Friday night. It was back and forth. They were out of it. The Swans have come back. Buddy, magnificent, seeing the big fella. That's my next one. Buddy, brilliant. What is he, 35, 36? Kicking 5. He kicked 3 in the last quarter, J-Dog.
Yeah.
And also punched Trent Cotchin. How much more can we not love this guy? He is a special unit. Anybody that punches Cotch has got something going for them. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant. And I've got to finish off with another one that I just thought was worth a definite
3 votes.
Was 80,000 plus at the G. Carlton Collingwood, not a dental plan in sight. IQ of probably 13. But who cares? That's what AFL footy's about. That's why they are the traditional rivals. And that is why this football, AFL, is the best sport ever. What caught your eye? What got you excited? What got you throbbing on the weekend, big boy?
Anytime Richmond loses, it's a great day. It's a great game. I loved it. I loved it. It was the best ending to a game for a while.
Yep.
Because you just thought, oh, God, they're going to do it. They're going to do this. And, when you see all of the Richmond team around the umpire screaming it should have been a 50, why don't they all get slapped with a $5,000 fine, Peps?
Why wasn't that dissent? Oh, we suddenly just forget about that, J-Dog. We just forget about it.
That was great.
It was great, wasn't it? Just seeing Jackie Rio go, Hey, something else that I wanted to bring up is, they're flowing in on the chat at the moment. The Wankers with Anchors doing a fantastic job as well too. So, yes, I'll have to definitely bring that one up. The other one is Buzz is back. So did the Saints win, J-Dog?
Yeah.
Buzz must be here.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a bit of sense as well too. Joel Jeffrey, yes, he was exciting again on the weekend. Jeez, they've got a ripper there, haven't they? Good old Jolie Jeffrey. And also, that was big Tommy Rocket pulling that one in. Ninthman. But also, Tommy's pulled out that Melbourne are pretenders. So be it, Tom. But at the moment, we're in the 8 and you're not. Okay. Righty. Hey, J-Dog, you know what that means?
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weak as piss.
All right, it was weak as piss. And there's plenty of weak as piss. First of all, Chad Warner.
What?
Dude, just make sure that you know that if you hear the siren, don't kick it. That's all I'm going to say.
So he's a 3 votes and he's also on the drag list.
Yeah, just because I thought it was a great kick, but think about it a bit. Simple as that.
Right.
Buddy Franklin, what are you doing, son? Absolutely stupid thing to do. Not stupid, you smacked Cochin, which is everybody except Richmond supporters thanks you for. But you have the chance to solidify, if not a top 8, but potentially move into a top 4 spot without, and you didn't know at the time, without Stephen May. It could be a bigger brain fart we have seen since Chris Grant and the 1997 Brownlow.
Well, Lance does have a history against Richmond. Did he smack Cochin before the grand final? Was that Cochin he smacked into? Who did he whack?
Who did Buddy whack?
Yeah, before the grand final a few years ago.
That was Barry Hall.
No. Buddy hit someone and it was like the whole controversy because he literally just smacked someone. I can't remember who it was.
I don't know.
In one of the finals.
He's just leave him alone. But
Maybe-
Buddy can do no wrong.
Well, maybe he believes his own hype.
I do think that he has to get at least a week. He has to get a week.
Okay.
No doubts about it.
Okay.
It was high. It was intentional. He did it twice, and they're playing Melbourne this week. There's the other reason for it. What about you, mate? Anyone that you see that's going to get dragged from this week?
True. I don't want to bash them, but I do want to bash them. North, their 6th game in a row where they've lost by more than 50 points or something crazy like that. That's not good.
So here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's worse right now?
Mm-hmm.
West Coast or North?
Don't take my discussion point later on, Peps.
Oh, J-Dog, all right, sorry. But West Coast or North? We're going to have a chat about that.
We are.
Because I've got a feeling the answer that we're going to give might surprise a few of you. I'm just going to put it this way. One team had 8 premiership stars in their team on the weekend and the other didn't.
All right. So
He's just gone all right.
Peps.
Yes, mate.
What's going on with May? Why is he on the bench again, sitting there crying again? What's going on with him?
It's called concussion.
Yeah, well, he's not
You'd
playing
know
next
if you ever had any body
He's not playing
contact.
next week. You guys,
No, he's
you
not
guys are
playing this
shot.
week. No. He got no. Anyway, can we stop? Just we could pick on your. Hold on a second. Charlie Dixon dragged Charlie Dixon for kicking goals against the bottom 8 team, but that's what he does, and that's what he only does. All righty, let's go ahead now. We have got one massive, actually 2 massive stories, but there's one that's literally taken over the AFL world in the last 24 to 48 hours. There's only one person who's going to take us through that, and you know who it is. It's Jamie the J-Dog Wallis. We're going to have a look at this, and we're going to get into the news right now. Around the grounds, Jamie Wallis style. Take it over to you, big fella.
All right. Peps, thank you for that intro. Just when the club said they wouldn't do it, they've done it. Essendon have decided to have a mid-season review of their football club, their footy department. After 4 weeks ago, they said they would never do that. They're not going to do that.
I saw it coming, and somebody else saw it coming because they saw it happen.
Right in front of me. Right in front of me.
All right, so yeah, they're going to have another review into their football department. Lots of concern around the team that has made finals and all of that last year, and this year it all seems to have fallen in a heap. Sean Wellman, they've picked out the people they're going to lead the review, and like all dingo court sessions, Sean Wellman to lead it. Kangaroo court. I knew it was one of the
It's an
icons.
Australian native animal. I get where you're coming
One of them. Sean Wildman to lead with Kevin Sheedy and Simon Madden to assist with the review. So good to see that. It'll literally just be it's probably even going to be even more kangaroo court than the Collingwood Do Better report. So we have got ourselves 16th on the ladder, 73.5% in percentage there. Not bad. Not great, though. Have won 3 games with a 35-point average losing margin. Won only 11 quarters this year, where North have won 10, if you want to see like a compare the pair. 18 players picked up at last Nationals draft, 11 less than 10 games, and Matt Guelphy, the most at 72 games, picked 78. And there's a whole lot of stats that we can go through there as well. But essentially, Peps, the question I have for you is why are Essendon doing this now? Why now, not the end of the season?
Oh, someone's messaged you. This is a club that's panicking.
Okay.
They're just simply panicking. And I believe, and I think a lot of us believe that this team would be a top 8 team this year. They were a top 8 team last year. They played finals. And the way they finished off was sensational. They played great footy and then got beaten. Okay, so be it. Mm-hmm. But we thought that we would springboard from, or not we, but they would springboard from that. To the point that I picked them to finish in the 8. Now, I'm feeling like an idiot right now looking at that and thinking, but at the time...
We all did, Peps.
They were up and about.
Yep.
But you have a look, if you go to footywire.com.au, now it's a great site because they literally statistically put everything together for the layman to look at. Now, I've got them up at the moment. Now, one of the great things is to look at the high rankings versus the low rankings. So if they're ranked highly in something, they highlight that. But if they're ranked lowly in something else, it's on the other side. Now, most clubs in the top 8 are usually 50-50. So 50% high, 50% low. And I reckon you'd have around about maybe 25, 30 different rankings you can put yourself up against. Essendon, as an example, they're ranked first in least opponent tackles per game. So not what they're doing, but the other mob. They're ranked second in least opponent hitouts per game, so not them again. And they're ranked 4th in team to opponent hitouts per game difference. They're ranked. Now, I just want to show you how bad they're going at the moment. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but let me just go through maybe the top 5. They're ranked 13th for kicks per game. Mm-hmm. They're ranked 16th for points per game. They're ranked 18th for tackles, 14th for inside 50, 15th for clearances, and 18th for clangers per game. They make the most clangers out of any team.
Yep.
They don't get their hands on the ball. They don't use the ball directly. They don't get it into the forwards quick enough. They don't get it around the source, or they don't put any pressure on anybody to get the ball back off the opposition. And they make the most mistakes. What is going on down there? And to top it off, they've had this review. Now, they only had a review a little while ago. They've had another one run by 3 people. Now, I'm going to read something out to you. This is from one of my mates. He's like I am about Melbourne. He's passionate. Travis Buchanan. You'll love that his name got up on iTunes and Spotify. And I just asked him, I said, mate, what's going on? And he said this: why are they having a review by 3 board members that clearly have an emotional attachment to the club? They need clear eyes looking at it. Pay all the money they can get and get CEO or whoever else from the Melbourne Storm. They know how to run an organisation. And then I said, well, is there anything else you can give me? Because, I know that's a nice chunk, but if you've got something else. And he goes, look, don't get me started, Peps. You can have as many number 1 or early draft picks as you want. If the club system is shit, they have no chance. Look how long Carlton has been down for. He's got a fair point. What's my mantra that I've got tattooed on my right arm? You got to get it right off field to then get it right on field.
Oh, I thought you were going to say give us money AFL was your club mantra. Sorry.
Anyway. Mm-hmm. They're off field. Now, you've got a guy in Xavier Campbell, for whatever reason they kept him on, and There's many, many people who don't rate him whatsoever. You've got Adrian Dodoro, who has been – has he been there since they did the draft by Morse code and sent their picks in by carrier pigeon? Like, he's been there for ages. Tell me the last great pickup that he had. Like, one that makes you go, wow, where did that come from? They pick up the same types of players all the time. Shield.
Yep. One speed midfielders.
Evan Smith.
Yep. Midfielders or halfbacks, that's all they pick up. And they're one speed midfielders.
They're not quick.
Yep.
They're not an angry team. They're not a team that you fear. They're young kids like, if someone's mentioned Archie Perkins, okay. I think the best player they've picked up was a guy they picked up in a supplementary draft this year. So he skipped them all and they picked up Nick Martin at the start of this year. He's probably, I reckon he'd be close to going to win their best and fairest. It couldn't be on 40 possessions, Darcy Parish sheepdog around the back, handball, who's going to win it. Nick Cox hasn't proven himself. Andy McGrath hasn't probably come on as we think. And Tommy Roker saying Melbourne Storm are corrupt. You're probably pulling straws from over 15 years ago. Don't be jealous that a Melbourne club has dominated the sport that Sydney and Sydney and Queensland have tried to for so many years. There's probably a lot of other clubs that would wish they were Melbourne. Peter Wright, nobody wanted Peter Wright, and it's only this year that he's done something. It's really disappointing. We need a powerful Essendon. And what makes me even worse is Essendon supporters who think that they're going all right. Just admit that your team's shit. Just quit. It's like, you know, if you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, you've got to actually admit that you're an alcoholic. That's the first step. And then you can move on from there. Your team is not what it was. It is not the Baby Bonners. It is not the 2000. You haven't won a final since I don't even bring up the stat anymore because I just got sick of talking about it. Something needs to change. I can look at it in my humble opinion because I was there. Melbourne, for so many years, had club Jim Steins, Chris Connolly, Gary Lyon, all internally looking at what we've been doing. And they had they did their best intentions, but they had it from a football perspective.
Yeah.
The best thing they ever did was get Peter Jackson, and I don't care. If anybody says the AFL paid for him to come in, best investment they made. Because in less than 10 years, I've got posters behind me saying premiers. Essendon need to swallow their pride and get somebody from completely outside of the club to come in and run this review and get rid of a lot of the dead weight. You're still hanging on to Sheedy. Like, you got rid of this coach and now you're bringing him back in. You've got to cut it loose. You have to. And then bring it in for the good times. Just don't keep going back to the well because you're going to run out of water and you're going to be thirsty. Yeah. And at the moment, you're dehydrated. You're dehydrated as at a spirit level and on field results level. Something needs to be done.
Okay. So will we see a response to this, Peps?
Of course not.
Okay. So then why now then, Peps? Then why now? Why not just wait for another 8 weeks?
Because you've got to be seen to be doing something, Jamie. But what are they going to do? Who's Essendon's last coach? It was Worsfold, right?
Yeah.
Right. Who was before that?
Herd.
And then who was before that? Knights.
Yep.
Right. So they had Sheedy for all this time. They then transferred over to Knights. Knights got shafted for Herd. Herd shafted the club. They brought in Worsfold. Worsfold had tuned out. They brought in Rutten. Rutten isn't working. They have to be seen to be doing something because if they get rid of another coach, that'll be the third coach that they've got rid of. Herd, Knights, and Rutten. One was moving back, and it also means that whole transition from one coach to the next hasn't worked either.
Well, the Worsfold to Rutten transition was pretty horrible. So then if they get rid of another coach then, so are you saying that they're kind of forced to go with Rutten for another year or two to avoid getting another coach in that
I
may
just
not work.
think that they're just no good across the board. Across the board. And I forgot about Bomber Thompson as well.
Oh, yeah, intern as well. Yep.
I just think that they're no good. At the moment, as a club, it's not functioning.
Okay. All right.
It's not functioning. All right, here's one for you. Who was the last big ticket item player, like one that you would go, I'd love to have him at my club, that went to Essendon?
At the time, probably. I was pretty jealous of like a Sard or Dylan Shield at the time. I thought that could have been anything.
But how many years ago? How many years is that now?
Shield, though.
That's what, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, but specifically
7 for
Shield.
maybe Sard.
Shield at the time was an amazing midfielder.
Paddy Ryder started at Essendon, so you can't say that he was a big ticket. No, he left Essendon because of the saga.
Yeah.
You probably could say Jake Stringer, but outside of that, they're not a destination club. So to think that they're a destination club, they're not. Brendan Goddard, he cracked the sads at St Kilda. Come on, Buzz.
Yeah, I didn't want Goddard. I didn't want a Stringer. I didn't want anyone like that. I was more interested.
Someone that was going to make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, Adam Chera, that's a difference maker right there. Stephen Maida Melbourne, Jake Lever, difference maker right there. Charlie Dixon to maybe Port, difference maker. All right.
Yeah.
Judd to Carlton, difference maker. Who was the last difference maker that went to Essendon?
Well, as the commentators have said on our chat tonight, it's probably Peter Wright has probably made the biggest difference this
What's
year.
that say? If that's your destination player at a destination club, your club is writing checks that your team cannot cash.
Yeah.
Get your head out of the stars. You need to have a rebuild. You rebuild off the field first, rebuild on, and get a clear set of eyes. Get somebody from outside of the club, get a series of people outside of the club, and have them focused on results.
So
That's it.
So is Dodoro safe in this review?
If he comes out and he's safe, you know that the whole thing is, excuse the term, fucked.
Okay.
Because once again, we went through the stats, J-Dog. Who's been his last, wow, didn't see him coming from a draft perspective? Who's been his last recruiting, he was special, that Essendon have picked up?
Yeah, I said, I've already told you who I thought was like the wow for me.
But from a draft perspective, a drafting perspective.
Andy McGrath was pretty good. He still is pretty good.
Mate, they got that number one draft pick because they stuffed themselves up.
Yeah, but you asked me who were the question, so I'm just telling you. I thought he was
Really?
a pretty good pickup.
Okay. But
Any team would have an Andy McGrath. You know that.
What's that?
Any team would have an Andy McGrath. No problem. You would. I would.
I wouldn't.
Yes, you would. Come on, Peps. You're being a bit stubborn there.
No. I would say maybe their last one, Ben Hobbs, is probably the one who's stood out, but there's no one that's just blown the world away. And I also reckon it's not the ones at the top. It's the rough, the diamonds in the rough. The diamonds in the rough are the ones that I go, ooh, yeah. There's not been many diamonds in the rough. Matt Wilfie's the best diamond in the rough that they have. Now I think that was about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Tipper's a good one.
It's a bit longer than that.
Tipper's been an amazing diamond in the rough.
Sam Draper, come on, Tommy. He doesn't do anything. He has a tap out and doesn't do anything. He's got the worst hair and he needs an attitude adjustment.
Don't mind
Nick Bryan's played, 3 or 4 games at the most? So I won't put him in there. Ben Hobbs, I like what I'm seeing from Ben Hobbs. Archie Perkins, he goes okay. Nick Cox on the wing, probably hasn't. He's got the second year blues going along.
So Peps.
So you can't say, oh, they're a kid, but then say, I'll put his name up in lights. You can't have both. It's not soft and hard tacos, mate. You can't have both in this case. So,
all right then. So whilst we're talking about coaches, then,
yep,
let's talk about the situation with West Coast. Why hasn't Woosha been discussed? Oh, sorry, Woosha. Why hasn't Adam Simpson been discussed with anything to do with West Coast at the moment? Why is he getting a free run?
I don't think he's getting a free run at all. But I also believe that I just don't think it's him. I think that everything that's West Coast have been so good for so long, they're entitled to have a year like they are right now. Like to really bottom out. When was the last time that West Coast really bottomed out? They
Really bottomed out?
Really bottomed out. Like really, truly. West Coast made finals the second season in the AFL. Mind you, they had basically a stateside. But outside of that, West Coast haven't really bottomed out.
But
and I think with everything that's been going on with COVID, I don't think it's the coach.
When you have a coach that's lost multiple 100-point games this season, well over 70-point losses.
If you don't have the cattle on the park, you've got to remember
the cattle on the park are not that great.
They couldn't train for so long together because of COVID rules. They've had waffle players playing, waffle and underneath waffle players playing for them. I think they've had so many things across the board that has caused that club issues. I give them a pass, a pass mark. Not pass mark because they've been average on the field. I'm giving them a pass mark because, okay, you've had a bad year.
Why do you give them a pass mark for, Peps? I don't understand. We go hard at Noble, or people go hard at Noble.
I wasn't going hard at Noble.
No, people go hard at Noble, but they're not prepared to go hard at a team that has still got 7 or 8 of their AFL premiership players on the park.
Yeah, and then so you have 8 premiership players, you have 18 on the field, the other 10 are average at best, all right? If they went from the start of the season, they can't make that up. I just think that I don't think it's Simpson. I don't think any coach with that club could do anything.
The weekend game was personified of a perfect game of how they had no plan. There's no ability. There's absolutely zero ability on that park, and they had not even a desire to get the ball back. Even if you're the shittest team on the park, you still have to show a want to win the ball.
Is that the coach's fault for that?
I absolutely think it's a coach's fault.
You think that's a coach's fault?
Ultimately,
so if the players don't go out and give a shit, now, Jamie, if you're saying that the players don't go out and give a shit, that's the coach's fault.
Absolutely. We know it is, Peps.
Buddy.
That's the way that it works.
Hold on a second. So if you go out and, you play hockey, if you go out and don't give a shit, that's the coach's fault that you did not give a shit or could not care.
We know this game. I could say about Mark Neal, about your team. I could say about Kenny. Any other team has gone through a rebuild, we ask that question, and it always ends up in the coach being sacked.
It's because it's easy to get rid of one person than get rid of 10. The rules are set up that you cannot get rid of 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But
I don't blame Simpson for the situation that West Coast are in. I don't think he's the only problem. I think there's multiple issues. But he's not it. He's not the only one. Yep. This team won a flag 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No one had an issue with him then.
Yep. And look, I'm not taking away. They have the longest.
If he has another year like this year, next year, then we could have that conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give him a mark. Noble, the reason why they're getting stuck into Noble is because North haven't shown any improvement for the last 3 years.
Correct.
Really?
Well, they had an up year towards the end of last year, but it's nosedive this year.
But they haven't shown any improvement, and they don't have the COVID issues and the personnel issues that West Coast have got.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to take away from West Coast's injury COVID list. Some of it is their own strife that they've brought onto the club.
They should have got rid of people like Gaff, Shuey if possible. Who am I trying to think of? I know they wouldn't get rid of Nick Nat. Darling. But there's players that they might have got some currency for to other clubs to start rebuilding their list, and they're not needed.
Yeah. But Peps, we are talking about an AFL team now that is one of the worst teams in AFL history. Like their percentage dropped below 50 this week.
Yeah.
The first team to fall that low this late in the season was GWS in the early days.
Yeah, don't count GWS. That doesn't count. That was kids playing against men. It was Melbourne when they went.
This is what I'm saying, Peps.
Yeah,
We're literally GWS and West Coast, like right close to each other.
I know, but what do you want them to do?
I'm just saying. I just want to have the discussion that no one's prepared to talk about West Coast and Adam Simpson, and yet we're seeing things that are like red flags.
It's one season. One season.
It's his 9th season in charge, though. Peps.
No. But it's one season West Coast have been this bad in their last 5. There's other clubs who have been in worse positions.
They missed last year. They missed the finals last year.
Also, they missed the finals last year. Oh, that's okay. Did they end up second last or last year?
No, they didn't, but they missed the finals.
So they're bottoming out. It happens. It happens, Jamie.
But 9 years of the same message from the same coach over and over again, Peps.
How many years you had Kenny?
Coming up to 10.
You want to get rid of him? Do you want to get rid of Kenny?
You know.
Do you want to get rid of Kenny?
Love to.
Yeah. So you want to get rid of Kenny?
Absolutely. Because I think
okay.
I apply the same methodology to a coach, and we can all relate. We're corporate. When you have the same manager or the same person does the same thing every time, maybe the message gets a bit stale. Maybe your manager just needs a bit stale. It might
be getting stale. But I would also say that all right, you got me on that one. The staleness I would agree with. But I just don't think it's all his fault.
They've got another 2 more years of this. So his contract runs until 2024 at the moment.
Well, here's another club that's a little bit stale, Geelong. Tell us about what happened at Geelong.
I believe that Geelong are going to face one of the biggest drop-offs at the moment with their aging list.
I know, we say that all the time. And it's funny enough, though, like there's some – I'll let you open up with this next story because it relates to the Geelong coach, and I'll let you roll that one through because it's an interesting take, and I'm going to throw this one out to the listeners right now. I'll throw it in the Facebook page or throw it in the chat if you're listening live. I've got a question about the Geelong coach and what you've heard if you've ever spoken to a Geelong supporter. So go ahead and just tell us the news about Geelong.
Sure. Can I just quickly finish off on West Coast first? Is that all right?
Oh, you go. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. I just think probably now is probably not a bad time to move on from West Coast. If I was Simpson, I'd be looking at it for my own future and for the club. It probably wouldn't be a bad time to start weighing up your options and seeing other clubs who are out there. Potentially one that he even played for a long, long time ago. Played 300-something games for a while ago. There could be a position opening up. Because we're talking about, we've got young players like Brady Hugh, Callum Jameson. Then you've got Darling and Gaff keen not to be moved on in the name of the youth. Like, once again, like we need this list needs a churn. They've got some young kids there, but I do think it's probably time for Adam Simpson not looking at it.
And I agree. And you know who I look at? When you say these things, I sit back and I look at what Hawthorn did. And Hawthorn did not care who their players were.
They didn't.
Mitchell, Lewis.
Yep.
We're getting rid of you.
Yep.
Perfect thing. What's best for you and what's best for the club, let's work it out.
Yep. And McGovern's been like this big name, but he either misses or is on, but it's not consistent anymore.
Can I say this is the one thing that shits me the most? Yep. And tell me if anyone else that this pisses you off as well. When you hear they've been a great servant of the club, they were a great servant of the club on about $800,000 a year. Like, you don't give it in a corporate world, they were a great servant of the club on $200,000 a year. It doesn't work like that. They were getting paid good money. If this whole servant of the club or they deserve to be given this, a farewell game, I don't have an issue with that, right? But the whole servant of the club, mate, they're getting great money. And I'll tell you what, if somebody offered them better money somewhere else, in most cases they would take it. If there was a club who was offering 200, 300 grand more over 5 years or whatever, mate, they would be handing in their papers quicker than you could actually print them.
Yep. And as you said, Peps, you said a perfect part there. You said a perfect thing. Hawthorn got rid of their most successful GOAT coach. Gun players, but also their GOAT coach. They moved on their coach because it's like, this is getting a bit stale now. They brought in Sam Mitchell. Look at the rebound they've had. Look at the rebound. I don't know. I feel that Noble gets a rough end of it. but I think Simpson is also under serious review because of how poor this team, even a good coach, can lift a club above 50%.
50%. 50%.
Arsenal needs to score just half of what you're getting scored against. Yeah. Anyway, all right, so sorry. Yes, Geelong. Chris Scott, great news for Chris Scott. 2 more year extension on that. Apparently had been signed at the start of the season, but didn't want to announce anything, or around that time, round 3 or something like that. Didn't want to announce it, but now it's come out. So he is kicking on for another couple of years, which will then take him to be the longest Geelong coach. It will see him surpass Reg Hickey's long-standing record of 304 games as coach. I know there's been a lot of people upset about this, Peps. But
Jamie, the whistle has been rung. This is one of the dumbest moves I think has been made in a long, long time.
All right. Tell me why. 2
main reasons. They don't do anything when it gets to finals. They get found out way too easily in finals. And they're going to have, and I know we've been saying it, it's almost like the housing prices are going to drop, but they never do. Mm-hmm. We've been saying for such a long time, Geelong are going to fall off, Geelong are going to fall off, Geelong are going to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
That part doesn't happen. It is the same shit every single year. It's almost like Groundhog Day. They're going to get 11 games at home. You're going to get overcharged seats. You're going to get mid-strength beer. You're going to get them dominating throughout the middle of the season. They'll play finals and they won't do anything. Done.
Yep.
Whistle has been blown.
All right. I
just think it's I don't see anything different with Geelong every single year. They might play a little bit more attacking football, but I just don't trust them when it comes to finals.
Do you know what, Peps? I would much rather my team make finals every year and bow out a prelim final than to not make finals at all. And let me tell you why. And I know it's a line in a famous movie, and they say hope is a dangerous thing for men in here, from Shawshank Redemption. But let me tell you,
do not speak to me like that.
I would rather have hope every season or every year in a final season than to be disappointed and angry and my team not playing a final season. I would rather play finals and bow out somewhere than to not get there like my team has repeatedly done, and yours.
Okay, well, when I hear you say the Shawshank Redemption, I would feel like the groom. If I was following Geelong, I feel like a little bit of Julia Roberts in The Runaway Bride. Then I get to the altar every single year, and just as we're about to come together, Geelong supporters and premiership, bang, they run away and we get
I'd still rather it, Peps. I'd still rather it.
Why would you want to get teased and teased and teased and teased?
Because
every single year? No.
Hope.
Jamie, what would you prefer? Let's be honest. Would you prefer anyone, what would you prefer? Here's your listener question for this week. What would you prefer? 10 years of making finals but not winning a flag, or missing the finals for 7 but winning a flag in the final 3? What would you prefer?
Well, for me, as in when you say the 7, as in missing finals,
you don't
and
play
winning
finals
one
at all.
For 9 years, and then the 10th one you win.
7? No. For 7 years you don't play finals at all.
And then 3, you play 3 grand finals in a row.
No, you play finals for 3 years, and then maybe the 10th one you make a grand final. Or would you rather play finals every year but not win a flag?
Yeah, no, it's the hope thing, Peps. I think what you're saying is probably closer back to maybe like neutral ground. I'm talking about clubs who do not make finals every year.
But Jamie, you'd prefer to do what your club has done for the last X amount of years, which is make finals but not do anything.
No.
And not win
my
the flag.
club makes finals and then we bow out a prelim, but then we won't play finals again for another 4 years. That is terrible. That kills me. I would rather make prelim after prelim after prelim after prelim.
And lose and lose and lose and lose and lose. I would hate that. I would hate that.
I would love that, to have a team in the finals, go to the footy, the finals, the nerves, the energy, than to sit there in September the bloody 17th or whatever it is and be just spewing and saying, F the season, F the coach, F the club. I don't want to back this team anymore. Or it annoys me. I would rather that. I'd way rather that.
No way, mate. No way. Because, Jamie, we get to tune in every single week and we've got the video cam going as we do this, and you get to look at my wall behind me, and I've got premiership posters up behind me. I can say that I have seen one, and you know what? If they win one this year or the next year, great. But if they don't win one for the next 5 after that, that's what it's about. It's not about
quick.
It's not about just getting to the dance. It's about getting on the dance floor and being the best dancer. It's like Kevin Bacon at Footloose. It wasn't just about getting the dance. It's about getting on and do the come on, get loose, foot loose, and doing the shuffle at the end and knowing that you are the best dancer. That's what it's all about.
But it took you 56 years to do that.
Hey, it doesn't matter because it's worth the wait. You're just getting you're accepting mediocrity.
I'm not accepting mediocrity. I'm accepting that this is still a better deal than having a club that sit there and does nothing for 20 or 30 years.
No. I didn't say 20 or 30. I said 10. So if your club does nothing for 10 and then wins a flag in the last 3, awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as a bad thing. I understand the frustration. For someone who is so successful, I've never seen a coach be so maligned by his supporters. It just blows my mind.
Geelong supporters can't stand him. I know a few Geelong supporters and they can't stand him because they know when they get the finals, they just get outplayed, outmatched, outwitted. They don't do anything different. No one is scared about Geelong in finals time.
I am. Put Adelaide 2007 premiership loss
but that was
survivor.
That was different. At the moment, no one's scared.
Constant PTSD from
in charge. Hey, J-Dog,
yes.
let's get into some happy stuff. We had a rising star this week, didn't we? Beautiful rising star. Now, this guy has been on the cusp for so many years. He's been dominating.
Speaking of a club.
He's from Geelong, isn't he?
Go on, Peps. Who is it?
It is Sam de Koning. He is our round 11 rising star. Picked up by the Cats at pick 19 in the 2019 draft from the Dandenong Stingrays. Took him a couple of years to find his feet. The de Koning boys are just crackers.
Yep.
His high marking prowess and his outstanding ability to read the flight, perfect for a backman. He is so gifted, it's not funny. He has the man bun. He has the headband, averaging 12 and a bit disposals this year. He's one reason you'd be a Geelong supporter, to be happy to be following the club. And he could be close to making all-Australian honours in the AFL like he did in his under 18 years as well too. They have got a cracker there. And partnering up against Tom Stewart had just a casual 40 and took the literal piss on the weekend.
Can you believe he was just a local Geelong footy player and they just brought him in and just turned him into a jet?
Exactly right. It's just – see, Essendon could use a Tom Stewart.
Unreal.
Tom Broker, they can't win the flag. Doesn't matter. Let's move on. Hey, listener question. We had a cracker of a listener question this week. Jamie, it went absolutely gangbusters. Bigger than I think any question that we've had. Like it went nuts. Like it was pinging. I haven't seen pings like going off that much since a mid-90s rave in St. Kilda. I didn't go, but that's what I heard. So just as a summary, because there was so many responses we couldn't get through them.
Sure.
Who were the most hated clubs out there?
Do you know what? It's the Melbourne clubs. Richmond, Melbourne, Essendon, Carlton, Collingwood and Geelong.
No one even know Melbourne existed. You just threw them in there, you dipstick.
No, everyone says, no, do you know why? It's like you've been one premiership in 155,000 years and all of a sudden your heads can barely fit under the under the bridge.
Excuse me, as we drive under the Montague Street in my
under the Montague Street Bridge, you get decapitated. No. So Peps, it has been the established Melbourne clubs.
Yeah.
Richmond was very high. Hawthorn is a very high one. Collingwood was very high, and Carlton were very high.
Yeah. And I think there was a few Essendons in there as well too, I must admit. I think I voted quite a few times. But it was massive. So everybody who responded, it was a corker of a question. Now, this one is going to be an interesting one too, because I reckon we'd have different opinions on this. What's this week's question, J-Dog?
Well, Peps, on the back of our show tonight, it's all around
It's all around that.
free kicks. So, based on the back of Chad Warner booting the ball 50,000 rows back after the siren and missing a 50-metre penalty, and on the other game on Sunday where the free kick that it was there, that it wasn't there when Sam Welsh was tackled or caught high by Josh Dacos within seconds to go on the game, and that game only finished with a few points between them. This week's question is, are the free kicks taking away from your enjoyment of the game? We've seen record free kicks. We've already spoken about it last week's show. You always slip in a rant about the umpires every week. That's a given in the show this year. We saw 60-plus free kicks given in the game. We've seen that multiple times now this season. We're having fans bash each other. We've got people apparently not calling football.
Fans are bashing each other because of the
Well, when the game's so close, Pets, the free kick was missed. The free kick was missed.
You're clutching at straws, big boy.
We saw someone get bashed with a didgeridoo. We saw a bashing in the street of Carlton and Collingwood. We saw we're seeing anger in the stands. Peps, is the umpiring taking away your enjoyment of the game?
That's a good question, J-Dog, because I know it's been on the minds of everybody for the last few weeks. And I'll give my response next week.
Okay. Fair enough.
But here's a hint. It's the opposite of yes. Hey, buddy, 1 week at a time. We've got some cracking games this week. First week of the bye round. So Carlton, Port Adelaide, St Kilda, Essendon, Giants and the Tigers are all having buys.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 6 games for the weekend. What's going to catch your eye for the game of the week this week before we rock into a massively quick tipped out
slim pickings
of the days? It is slim pickings.
All right, it has to be probably the Dockers and Lions, wouldn't it?
That's going to be a corker. Dockers, Lions. Can the Dockers back it up? Lions need to keep winning to slot in there. That game clear at second. Can Freo go back-to-back? Not too sure. I'm very interested in the Western Bulldogs Geelong game, especially because the Dogs love to play at the Marvell Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And they are quick there. So that'll be an interesting one. And I'm very interested to see how Melbourne will bounce back against Sydney.
Okay.
How will Sydney do without Buddy? Because let's be honest, if he doesn't get off, then the game is in a better spot. If he does get off, the league is basically saying you can smack him in the head with an open hand or you can smack him in the head as long as it doesn't injure them.
Yep.
That's all they're basically saying. So I think there's going to be 3 good games, 3 average games, but 1 podcast that you should be listening to every single week. It's this one. It's Lace Out. That's how you want your footy. Hey, J-Dog, what a cracking show. Sorry for everybody who was listening now for all the technical issues that we had. I can't help it. He follows Port Adelaide. He lives down on the surf coast. You've got to give him a bit of leeway. But, buddy, we'll be back this time 8:30 Tuesday night for Lace Out, our 5th year. It's been our best so far, but more importantly, for all the listeners out there on the chat, we love you. You're awesome. J-Dog, Jamie Wallis, my co-host with the most, the biggest set of guns you will ever see. Big boy, how do you want your footy?
Lace out.
Oh, you just want it from us. It's as simple as that. Good luck to your teams this week, and more importantly, be nice to each other.
That's it.
See you, listeners.
See you, listeners.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Lace Out. Head over to iTunes and Spotify to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And remember, join us every single Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, on our Facebook page with yours truly, Christopher Pepper, and the co-host with the most, Jamie Wallis, giving you your footy how you want it. Peace out.